Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for dropping by and joining me. A special warm welcome to Christina, who's joining us now from not ICU anymore, but certainly still from the hospital. You've got connection again. That is awesome. Great to see you all. Yes, in answer to your question about the disco music, yes, this was Wanda Shakes. This is somebody who I found through Epidemic. And they make all kinds of disco tracks, and I used some of their music for the last FBI, Dancing FBI Agent kind of short that I've made, the single dancing animation. And when I made this animation that we've been working on for the last couple of weeks or so, the Bank Heist animation, I had their tracks in mind, and I was thinking, yeah, this is going to be good. Exactly, Boogie with J, that's exactly what it is. And thank you also, speaking of thank yous, BD Mulligan 4444, thank you so much for following on Twitch. I can't really see who's following me on YouTube anymore. I currently have over 350 subscribers a month. Thank you to you all who have clicked the subscribe button. That is really nice. But of course, subscribing is something different on YouTube than it is on Twitch. So subscribing on YouTube is like following on Twitch. That's not confusing, is it? But that's just the world we live in, I guess. Where subscribing on Twitch is something in which you can either use a free Twitch Prime subscription to support the creators financially, or you can chill out hard-earned cash and fork it over, and I'll split it with Twitch, and in return you get a little rat emoji. And Christina's just used it because Christina is my latest subscriber on Twitch, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Every little helps, and it's just, it's just awesome how this is all coming together. I thought today we can do two things, and they're going to be all very exciting. I haven't actually had a look at the whole animation. I've had it rendered. This is a series of images that 3 of my computers have been rendering, and today is the day where we're going to have a first look at it. I hope all the computers have done a good job. I've tweaked some of the material. Some objects were rendered transparent. Let me actually show you the very latest animatic of that. I believe this is it. Yeah, there we go. Let's go to the beginning and have a look at that. So this is low res. This is not this. I had rendered that already. This is what we've put up on 3D Shenanigans already, and you can see some of the mistakes that have crept in there. But overall, I'm kind of happy with the whole result. So this is, imagine this in high res, and this is hopefully what should be waiting for us on the hard drive there. And my plan today is to mix this together, assemble the whole image sequence, and add some of that music underneath it, and add the sting in the beginning, add the credits in the end, and also put some just descriptive lower thirds on there, just like I did with the FBI agent project, and we'll do that in Premiere Pro. So right here in the back, you'll see this is actually behind the monitor. This is actually a couch, and that's rendered almost transparent. And that was just something I just had to remove the alpha map. So that I've removed. And then I believe the lighting here I've changed. That looked a little bit flat. I'd used the light from the top that we set up last time. So I used the light instead that comes from through the window, like an area light that comes through the window, and that casts some really nice shadows. I've also taken a crack at some of the materials. Currently the materials, they're all pretty much the same, so they have the same roughness and the same reflectivity, but some of them are clearly meant to be shinier than others. So on the metal parts, like on the poles that are lying down there, I've added some more shininess, or I think metallicity. I believe the statues also have shininess on there applied, and then the bank vault, as we get in there, there's a lot of gold and a lot of shiny surfaces, so I've added some of those material tweaks there as well. But those were really small little tweaks, and I hope it's all come together. So let's take a look at that now. Hello Joe, very nice to see you all. Very nice, very good turnout, good crowd. So while I just quickly organize some of my files, I made a Patreon post yesterday in regards to the fact that I'd like to do more morning streams in these difficult times of the COVID-19, with the intention that we have more time that we can spend together. So when I'm working, there's usually this 4-day gap in which we don't see each other for 4 days. And to remedy that, I was thinking I can do morning streams before I go to work, like 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, Eastern Daylight Time, just for an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And I was going to play Stardew Valley. And that was great. We did this yesterday. Dreamlab and Chris were there. That was really nice. I really enjoy that game. So I thought we can do this continually, and maybe even on days where we're doing this in the morning, if you like, we can meet for Stardew Valley. And this morning I was going to do it, and then our internet stopped working, which is crazy. So one of those things, it didn't quite work this morning. So perhaps tomorrow. Hey, perhaps tomorrow. Hello, Chris. How you doing? What a shame I've missed your stream. I did drop by, and it just turned out you had already finished it. One of those things. One day I'll be there. I'm sure I'll be there one day. Just to let you know what I'm doing here, this is what one of my render nodes has done here, Z600 animation. Z601 is the other render node I have. Those are the two render nodes, and they just rendered directly into that. And these all here, they are from this computer. So I've done it in that they have all rendered parts of the animation, and there are gaps in each sequence. Together, they should hopefully make up the one whole animation. Let's see if that is in fact correct. So I'll call this one animation V4 perhaps, and I'll put all of these guys in there. 3,600 frames in total at 1920 by 1080. That took literally a week to do this. It's crazy stuff. So there's a lot of data that we need to take care of, and hello for the third time. I like it. Isn't that amazing, Chris? I love that. I totally love it when this happens, when all the best people come together. It just makes for such a fun time. Absolutely exciting. Well, there we go. So my Z600 has rendered the beginning of the animation, and then parts of the end until 3,200. That I can just go and say cut. I don't want to copy that. I want to go and this also just should be details. There we go, and go and paste that in here. There we go. And then we do the same thing with the Z601 animation. Yeah, this thing is now empty. Let's go and delete that so that we don't get totally confused. And there we go. That's from 501 with gaps until 3000. Cut that, put it into here. I'm sure paste was here earlier. I'm pretty sure I found that option at one point. Is it not? Do I not? Oh, there we go. Excellent. Righty then. So that should now be my whole animation in the animation V4 folder. And I can go and delete that. Next, let's take a look at Premiere Pro. And I've got something set up that should allow me to play the audio that I'm using, so you can hear it scrubbing, and it shouldn't induce into the microphone. So we should be able to all kind of listen to the same audio. But let's see if it really works. Help improve Adobe products. What could we do? Yes, I wonder. Happy Heist project, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, I think I can just go and use that. You could stop charging people with their subscription. That would be an idea. But perhaps we just don't do that today. So that I believe we don't really need anymore. We can just go delete that and start literally with my funky folder here. I'll use image sequence. And if I'm lucky, that should do it. I think I'll go make my own sequence here. This is always a really scary dialogue here if you're not familiar with Premiere. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go and do this in in that. Happy Heist V4, I'll call that. And onto that, I'll just drag all this for now. See if that works. That's another nice idea. Yes, let's just make it all free. That'd be really cool. So, Premiere's trying to do a job and play this back in real time. Oh, it's kind of doing it as well. Okay, that's nice. I didn't see an error message that said there's something missing or whatnot, so it looks like all the images are there. Usually it would give us something along the lines of, hey, there are sequence gaps. Just see if it plays through, and then we can take a crack at seeing which audio fits on this. I'm actually very impressed how fast this plays back. So sometimes my system doesn't like that because they're full res PNG images. They're about 2-3 meg each, and 60 of those a second, that is a strain on any computer really. Once it's compressed and it's a video file, it's much easier to do. That's it. There's something missing. Where's the jumping for joy aspect here? I don't think we have everything. Was that not enough? Have I not rendered enough? That could well be. Oops. Goma, how you doing? Good evening. Good evening. I'm sure 3600 was the intended end there. Let's just have a quick look at the Blender scene. I just have a look. Maybe I've missed some images. Interesting. So this was it. This was the last one. That was, at least that was the one on this computer. Well, this doesn't even have people in anymore. That's crazy. That's ever so slightly weird. I mean, where are the people to begin with? I mean, that's bizarre. The bank, there's the lights, there's the vault people. Vault people should all be here. Okay, so the front people and all these people, they're not there anymore. That's okay, but vault people, vault people, woo, there we go. And they are dancing. So I don't know what, so we're looking at anything up until 3600. Pretty sure I saw those pictures, didn't we just see that? Wait a minute. 3600, there we are. So Premiere, let's have a chat. Are they all named correctly? They're just all v4 image, and it should be 3600 images at 60 frames a second. Let's just make the calculator make that connection. That should be exactly 1 minute, right? That's how I'm 3600 divided by 6 frames, that's 60 seconds. So yeah, that's exactly 1 minute. And Premiere is indeed short of literally the last 8 seconds here. That's a good point. Let's do that. They do. Definitely. Well, I'm not sure if Premiere is maybe. So what could happen here is that Premiere isn't familiar with importing an image sequence of that length. Maybe there's a bug in Premiere, that could be. So if I go and just import them as single images, I can go and put them on the timeline separately. I could do that. So I guess we'll just try that. That's crazy. It could well be. I mean, it's not something, this is a new feature in Premiere. I've never seen that before. Photoshop can do that, and I would imagine they were using the same code there. And Photoshop doesn't have that problem, but it could be that Premiere has it. So Might be worth filing a bug report there. And also Photoshop would say there's a gap in the image sequence. I had assumed Premiere would do the same, but I guess it doesn't do that. Huh. That could also be, once it's imported this, we can have a look which frame that is. If it shows us that, I think I can switch us over to frame counter and we'll see if that is in fact the case. That could well be that it doesn't give you an error message. It just says, hey, I'll just stop here. That next picture can't be part of the sequence. Could also be. Let's look at all these things. I think that's a very good idea. Usually I do all this in either like this, so I usually get the single images in, because up until fairly recently that was the only way you could import something like that in Premiere. Or I use Photoshop, but I like to avoid it when it comes to exporting the animation from Premiere, because Photoshop would export a video file, and as such that there's some compression in there. And I would just like to go to the source images that I have with Premiere. That's how I do that. Curiouser and curiouser. So nice that you're all here. I'm really glad about this. Very nice, very nice. Stehaufmännchen ist genau das richtige Wort dafür, Christina. Genau. We're all really worried, and I'm so glad that you're back with us. So tell us, what's it like having the COVID-19 virus? What's your experience? So super funny. I'll go and put all of these into a bin down here and call that V4 stills. And now that we've all imported them here, let's go and have a look at switching this over to frames. And then I can go and see what the last frame was that had perhaps an issue. Yeah, so it looks like it's a round number, 3,200. So let's go look at the file first, see if we have 3,000. 198, 99, 200, 200. Oh yeah, there's a gap. I'm missing 100 frames. That's probably what tripped Premiere up, that there was exactly 100 frames missing. So from 201 to 300, that's the frames I'm missing. Yes, check my notes here. I do make a little plan that tells me which machine has rendered what. And you didn't do that, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. Correct. I've forgotten to render them. That's clever, isn't it? So yes, we are actually 100 frames short in the animation. Okay, so we'll work around that. Because then I can at least prepare this, and we can get a feel for how the music's going to fit in, and then I'll just go render those 100 images, and then I'll post it when it's ready. So we'll just keep on with the plan as it is right now, and we'll just put like 100 frames of black in there. I think let's do that. So then to make sure this playback is as smooth as this, let me go and import the rest of these frames. The details. Good brainstorming, my friends. Thank you so much. That's really nice. So Premiere has not made a mistake. I made a mistake. So I'll import the rest of them as an image sequence from here, like so, and that'll go on the end of here. So there'll be a gap, there'll be a jump here, but it'll be just fine. So that is something I'll just go and insert 100 frames of black in here. Whoops. There. And perhaps so that they're not so super terrible, I'll just put a freeze in there of the last frame. Maybe I'll do that. I could put a frame hold on here. I might do that. I might do this and say, oh man, I'm zoomed in on I'm frame hold. There we go. Saba83, thank you so much for dropping by. And this will say frame hold options. That's a good idea. Yes, that's it. It's kind of more like a duration thing. Duration, let's say, can I say frames? Are you thinking frames here? Frame, yes, that's good. There, that's good, perfect. So now we just have, that's the wrong frame, isn't it? Man. Oh, come on. Well, since we know which frame it is, let's just go and use that single frame rather than mess around with frame hold options. We'll just go and do it. This one here. Ding. Perfect. There. So now we go and yes, ripple delete that. Not so much ripple delete, actually. We just go and want to move it. And this guy, we want to go and say duration, make you 100 frames. There. Perfect. So now we do this and then we freeze and then we come back. Yeah, cool. Righty. Let's save this. Worry about the music. I've downloaded 5 tracks. I believe we've only heard 3 in the beginning. And let's go and bring those in. I think they're, let's organize. Let's organize. Because we're professionals and all. They're in my downloads folder, and these are them here. These are the tracks. Celebrating in the hotspot, Boogie Land, fresh stuff ahead, doing my thing, and forever into you. So 6 tracks actually. 6 tracks. So let me go and cut those out and put them in my Bank Heist animation folder. Maybe in a new folder called music. So then they're safe, so I can archive the project. Look at that, I've only just downloaded them literally an hour ago. That's kind of cool. With that said, let's go and import that whole folder. Import the whole folder, perfect. So let's see if we can listen to that. Whoa. Whoa. Yes, and this is my keyboard who's now using my jog wheel as the thing. That's not really what I want. So how do I do that? There we go. That's perfect. So let me know if you can hear that music. And also hopefully it's not going to induce into the microphone. So this is one possible track we can use. I say I'm going to go and put that underneath it and we'll just watch it and we'll see what we think. We can change the input and the output of the music. I've got this Logitech Craft keyboard here. This is my keyboard. And one of the things that it has is this thing. They call that the crown. And when I'm not using it for anything else, this is my volume control. But it's trying to be so super clever. And when it detects Premiere running, it turns this into a jog wheel. So when I use it, it goes and jogs through the timeline. And as much as I like the idea, it's just not working very well. And there's also, I'm supposed to be able to click it and it switches between timeline navigation and jog wheel, but it's also not really working. I don't know how to get rid of it. I would just like for it to ignore Premiere. It's probably a profile that I need to do something with, but who has the time or the knowledge? So usually that's how I adjust my volume. So yes. That is, so look at that, now it kind of switches over. I think there's something seriously wrong with my keyboard here. It's of course long out of warranty. Or maybe it's not, maybe I should get in touch with the friendly people at the Logitech. This one here, Celebrating. I think that's one of my favorites as well. I think we should try that definitely. Let's take a look at the other ones. This is Doing My Thing. Also nice. Certainly good. Forever Into You. I think we've heard that one earlier. But I think I'm going to go with you, Joe, as well. I think Celebrating is kind of the title describes it all, and you know, these guys are celebrating. This is also nice. I'm thinking this one might also work really well. I've picked them all by similarity and looked at the tempo, so they're all around 120, 122 beats per minute. Something slightly faster didn't quite work, something slightly slower also didn't quite work, but in this bracket they're kind of working well. So let's just start with this one and we'll see where we go. So now here it is with the picture, I think. A little bit of a shift left or right might also make a big difference. But I think I can already see it's not quite what I was having, what I had hoped for. So let's try another one. This was ES in the hotspot, so I can, just so that we know that I've used it, I can change the label on this and just turn it into a different color, like make this cerulean. So anything that's green we haven't tried yet. Blue is something we said, okay, let's try another one. So fresh stuff ahead then, let's try that. I think I'd probably come in here in the music if I'd use it. Closer. I think I like it better than the previous track. Let's go and make that another color. Let's make it maybe mango. Mango, no, mango, we already have that. Let's go, let's make it something like violet. Yeah, we have violet then. That's cool, that's cool. So blue is, we're not going to use it. Violet is, we might use it. And let's try Forever Into You. No problem. Hey, thank you so much for dropping by, Goma. Thank you so much. And say hello to your girlfriend. It's okay, but I'm thinking no. Let's go put that on the, what was the other one that was that cerulean? Yeah, that was cerulean, I think. Something blue. So I don't think, no. Doing My Thing. Let's try Doing My Thing. Me too, Dreamlab. I think me too. It's just I'm looking at all these things and I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. This is let's label that as well as, well, no. We can always come back to it. And let's go with celebrating and see what that looks like. Okay, here it is. This is celebrating now. I think so too. I think this is just, it's funny, isn't it? Sometimes you just get this feeling that, hey, this is kind of the one. Celebrating it is. Let's do this. Great. Let's see what we can do timing wise. So the whole track is only a minute and let me switch this back over to time code. So the whole track's only 1 minute 30 seconds. Let's just have a listen how this ends. And also keep in mind what I'd like to bolt onto this. So at the beginning, there'll be the WP Guru sting, the chroma key thing. That's only 3 seconds. And at the end, there's probably like a 10-15 second titles that roll, and that'll come into that as well. So I think we might just go and use this from the very beginning, but I just want to hear how this ends the whole track and see if I can make it so that the whole thing ends on the music out. Yeah, that'll be really good out if the end credits could stop at that point. Let's see how we can make that happen timing-wise. Christina, that's really, really nice. It was my pleasure. Thank you, Eric, for keeping us posted. That was great that you did that, and I appreciate that we kind of all hung in there together like a family. And I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for you guys to stay positive during that time, and I'm glad you did, and I'm so glad that Christina is on the mend, as Steve would say. So I'm really, really happy about that. Let me go and see where my assets are. Assets is this one here. I think it's that. This is the Patreon animation, and then this is the green opening. Do we want the green opening? I've got several colors. I've got a purple background, I've got a green, yellow, I think there's a blue one, there's a red one. We'll go with green. Just keep in mind I do have other options, and then we'll see what we can do there. So this goes in at the very beginning here, and because I don't want to lose the animation, I believe the chroma key goes here. So this is where we need to put a color key on, and then the color we're keying with is this one. Did I not make myself clear here, Premiere? This is the color we're keying. Oh yeah, tolerant, sorry. There we go. Don't want to be too tolerant, just a little bit tolerant. Yeah, and that also that mustn't really happen. There, I assure you, this used to work really well. I don't know what Premiere's got an issue with here now. That's kind of new. It never used to do that. What's eating you, Premiere? That's bizarre. Crazy. Imagine my surprise. How many times have I used this very asset? Was it am I thinking of a different asset? Let's find another one. I think I like the purple one. What's happened here? Well, relay the message for me, Christina. I tell you what, I'll make a highlight for them with that message to them, and you play it for them. How about that? Like I did for Gorma. Highlights work really well on Twitch. I think that's on a different drive. Man, I should really get organized. The WP Guru brand, I think this is where it is. Intros. The purple one. Let's go with the purple one. So forget the green one, use the purple one instead. And hope that, yeah, that's got a different key color. Maybe that'll work better. It was just the regular color key, I believe. It wasn't anything special, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm thinking of Camtasia. There we go, that's much better. So that does it, no problem. Cool. And then there's always this thing at the end that just needs to be cut away there. That's that. So we need to see the first frame of vision about here. So let's go and move all that up here. And because we've got that thing in the middle, I'll just have to select all these clips so that the gap also moves to the back. That's important. Great, so this is what it looked like. Could probably come in here at the music. I think that might be good, like 15 seconds later, because then I'll just put the end credits on now. And if we go in about here, that might actually really work really well. And then we can get this the end of the music, timing it with the end credits there. So let's put my Patreon credits at the end. This is what they look like, and this is how they end. Oh yeah, look at that. This is almost... Let's see if it's actually the correct timing here. I believe they're the fast ones. There's a fast version, a slow version. It might not be the correct version. I think there's a couple of other signups on Patreon that I had since then, and they need to also be in here. So right. But in principle, it seems to do the trick. I might just go and trim this off here and there a little bit, and then give it a nice transition, like maybe the chroma leaks. And we're only getting started, Joe. So I think it would be nice if we could make this end section, make that sync up with when the Patreon logo just goes like that. That would be kind of nice. Let's see if we can make that happen. Man, this is where that needs to happen, and it would be nice if we could have some kind of a... That could work. Like that. That's perfect. I like it. Great, and then the rest can literally go and flow around it up to the point of making the animation itself longer or shorter. So it looks like so far we probably need a few more frames here. See how many we would need. About 400 more. That might be boring, so I might just take the music off instead. Right, yeah. So let's try and bring all the visuals towards the end. There's also the chroma leaks thing that just dropped off, so we'll put that back on. It's not quite real-time preview, so sometimes Premiere tends to skip frames there, but it's all there, which is nice. I could do that. That I could do and just make the credits a bit slower, Christina. That's probably the best idea. We do that with the rate stretch tool. I believe it's called, this is the one. So we'll go and stretch that clip out to about here. And we put the freaking chroma leaks back. There we go. Let's see what it looks like just at the end so that we have a sync point. We're slightly out now because I've stretched the whole animation, but that is also something I could do. Probably there's a more clever way of doing it by leaving this, literally this in place, and then just making a cut and just putting that, stretching the rest of it before that. So like that. See if this looks okay. Yes, it does. That's perfect. So we still have that sync, but up until here, we're slowing things down. Good call. Thank you, Christina. Very good call. Also possible Dreamlab. Yes, also good idea. I have this project with the titles, that's on the other computer. So since I need to add a couple of people in there anyway, I can always make sure it has the exact duration that I need for this part, and then just stretch it in rendering out the titles again, and then that way the scroll is absolutely smooth in 60 frames. It'll be okay this way, but there's an even better way of doing it, and it's like I'm like 76% slowdown here, so that's probably does me a favor, but that's because there's a couple of people that need to be added in there anyway. So that's perfect. I can do that. For now, this is quite nice, and it also means, guys, we can use the entire track. That is very cool. So let's go and save this, very important, and watch this through, see what we think, and then I can go and render this out, and then we can watch it in full screen and see what we think. Assess the lighting quality and all that. This is the only bit I'm not happy with, the kind of crash zoom. It's not working as well for me as I thought it would have. The music and all the motion I'm really happy with. That's something I'm super happy with. I think so too, Dreamlab, yeah. Intended freeze, celebration, woo! Me too. I like that too. The one where it goes into the vault, right? Yes, I like that part as well. That was really well done. And because I've looked at this so many times frame by frame while my computers were rendering. Nicely done. All right. Very cool. Let me have that render out. And then we can assess a bit of lighting and a bit of this bits and pieces that have happened there. Because when you see this like really large and the computer's kind of rendering this tile by tile, it's yeah, you just appreciate every single bit of time we spend on each camera movement and camera cut and every material tweak that is all these things that cost just so much time. I'll go and do a little low res version so that we can that it's happening rather fast here. Happy Heist V4, perfect. Export. All right. There's something else I've learned actually while I was rendering this on so many different computers, and that's a tip from Andrew Price, of course, who else? And it's in regards to tile sizes depending on how you render stuff in Blender. So I never knew it made such a big difference, but it looks like overall CPUs, if you render something in CPU, CPUs prefer smaller tiles like 16 by 16 or 32 by 32, whereas GPUs prefer larger tiles. It's not so much prefer, I mean, they're happy with either way, but they just render faster. So a tile size of 256 by 256 or even 512 by 512 with GPU only rendering gives a faster overall result than a smaller tile. Whereas with CPUs, it's the other way around. So CPUs rendering a larger tile take longer than when they were given a smaller tile, in Blender at least. So that's interesting to remember. So this computer used the RTX 2080 with a large tile size, and he was literally 20 seconds or 10 seconds faster per picture than with the default tile size. And my GTX 970 had the same thing. That was also worked well with the larger tile size. But the other node that I have with the 2K4000 cards, I try to do GPU only rendering because it's quieter and it makes less heat, but it also takes a bit longer. Whereas when I add the CPU on that computer to the GPUs, then he is about 40% faster. But it'll be even faster if I then use the smaller tiles because it has 24 CPU threads and then it adds 2 GPU threads, and at that point the benefit of smaller tiles really outweighs the overall rendering time per image than with the larger tiles. It's crazy that how that works, why that works, I don't know, but I thought it's an interesting tidbit of information. Andrew had a post on his website in which he compared with a test scene, like from 5 years ago, in which he compared with a test scene tile sizes versus render times on CPU and on GPU only. Very interesting. Is that so? Oh, Saba, that is really interesting. I was always thinking, I do have one Linux installation. It's a CentOS on a CentOS 7 on a fairly old laptop. And that laptop, the hardware is too old. So it just about runs Blender in Linux, but not well enough for me to be happy about it. But I always wondered how it would be if I would have a separate boot partition for Linux and just see what happens with Blender on Linux. It's 50% faster, is it? That is really interesting. How interesting. Poser, yeah, I can imagine, because that is the Superfly is cycle, so it might be a cycles specific thing. But Samba, that's a really exciting comparison. I have so many computers. I'm super happy to do a test. Maybe that is something we can do in a stream together. Literally install Linux and just install Blender on Linux and see what happens. That'd be really cool. Happy Heist V4, here it is. All right. I'm glad how much time we spent on these camera moves. It's just well worth it. I need to have a look at that cut. That didn't look even. There was something uneven about it. intended freeze. So that's probably going to look better when that freeze isn't in there. Nice. Yeah, you can see a tiny bit of stuttering in the titles. Now that's because I used the rate stretch tool, but as soon as I render that, it'll be just as smooth as the rest of the animation. Perfection. I think this was good. It was good to spend that much time on it, and I'm really happy with it. There's two things that I want to check. So one is coming up when we cut to the female FBI agent close, and I'll pause it here so that you can have a look at that. There's something I'm not entirely impressed with, and I might just re-render just this what's it called? Close-up of her, close-ish up. I've only used the 2K version of the HDRI, so I can see a little bit of, jaggy edges in the background here. Really nothing major, but it doesn't take that much time to just re-render this part with a larger HDRI version of the same image, because I know they exist on HDRI even HDRI Heaven, and it'll be an easy fix. This is one of those things I will look at in 10 years time and say, why didn't I spend the time to do this? So yes, that needs to be done. It is, isn't it, Rod? Yes, this is something I've introduced that last year. It works really well, that little Polaroid thing. There's a few, when we go through this, there's a few material changes I've made. So the floor here is a bit more reflective and shiny. On the inside here, these parts, they have more metallicity, I believe, on them. And I believe there's one cut. I don't know if that was in the animation or if that's just because it is using screen capture. Yeah, I don't think it was there when I looked at it the second time here. It's the cut from here to... Oops. It's the cut from here to there. I think there was something I thought was uneven but it's not there anymore, so that's okay. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Sometimes that just happens. There was another small anomaly here that's on her close-up that looks like something's jumping there. No, that's just a playback anomaly. It's not a high-res thing, and I don't think it's in the original file there. This is another thing I wanted to bring to your attention. I've added a bit of transparency here to the glass. So this is actually glass material, and there's a bit more reflectivity on the desk. So that makes it look just a little bit better. Now we see it's glass, but it also adds a lot of render time to the whole thing. So here then, I've changed the light. We had a plane at the top, or a directional light just from the top, and I found that a bit flat. So now I've put the same thing on the outside, so it's actually shining through the windows, the light's coming through here, and it creates these really nice subtle shadows here. And I'm pleased that I did that, because it just adds a bit more room, especially here on the white shot. We can now see that there's directional light, and it's a lot, it just adds something to the scene. These are the culprits that were transparent. I just had to disconnect the alpha map, and then now they're solid objects. And other than that, I mean, all these subtle lights that we placed in here, they were really worth the effort, because it does make this, it just accentuates the fact that this is a 3D scene. And we get some light through the HDRI coming in from the outside, so that's really nice. I like that. Like all these things, at the back here, this would be a dark hole otherwise. It was really nice to put these lights in there and spend so much time doing that. Some of these shots that we saw with the kind of director's camera, we don't see anymore, but we can still see there's something else going on here, and at the upstairs and in the back room and all that. So I'm pleased that we did all that. These are the subtle things that when you don't add them, it just, you might not be able to tell every little bit that we put in there, but if it wouldn't be there, it would be noticeable. So there we go. The cap on the back of the floor, where was that, Saba? The left column, tell me, where's that? On the outside? Ah, is that when he knocks this thing over? Is that what you mean? Oh, let's have a look. I wish you could point at this. If I just, I'll leave it here and let me know whereabouts it is. The column is not on the ground. Which column do you mean? Oh, you mean these ones here? I think they are on the ground actually. They just don't. They don't give you. Oh, this here you mean? I think that's probably meant to be that way, as if there's a little. I see what you mean. Yes, this could probably connect with the ground more. This, right? That's what you mean. Right. Okay. Well spotted. Yes, because this has a similar effect. It's just not quite as pronounced as this. It's kind of the same effect that we get in here and in here. So it looks, to me, it looks more like an artistic thing where they want it to be kind of, arty, because it kind of stands on the ground and it's probably got rounded edges. So I'd buy that. It would be a lot of time to re-render that, so I don't think I'll do that. But yeah, I know what you mean. Well spotted. What got me at first when I looked at this was that these columns were covered by the carpet. And I was thinking of doing something about that. In the end, I thought, well, maybe the carpet just goes over these columns. So I'm gonna leave that in there as well. Beveled edge like here as well. We can see it in this shot as well. It looks like it's kind of intentional. It probably is that. I mean, here we don't have it like on the desk. The desk is actually firmly on the ground. I would buy this as an artistic kind of, it's an upmarket bank, I guess. So who's going to clean that? I don't know. But hey. Well, this was nice, actually. This is all I wanted to do today, but that doesn't mean the show is just over yet. There's something else I wanted to share with you. This is kind of more game related. It's something I've discovered this morning, and maybe we can do that if you're up for it. So I'll go and kick off my computer overnight to render the missing 100 frames here. And then I'll re-render the titles with the 2 editions that's on my Mac. I don't have that project on here on the PC. And as soon as that's done, I will go and post that, probably going live on my WP Guru channel, because previous viewers really liked the little the animation of the single FBI agent. Which, while we're at it, let's watch that as well. I think that was in here. Was this it? Do I have it? FBI Dancer Final. That's him, indeed. And I also used the purple one in the beginning, right? Okay, that's good to know. Oh, this is what we wanted to do. These 2 things, they might need to go in there. This was an Eevee render, by the way. This wasn't even a Cycles render. See you, Chris. Thank you so much for dropping by. Enjoy the dinner. And then we have the same thing here. And that already fits well together. So these are the faster titles, because it's a shorter thing, I guess, as well. Yes, those little titles. I thought we could put those in as well. I might not. I don't know. It's nice to give credit. I do like that. Maybe we should do that. I think that's a nice idea. I think the first one I only put in because there was room for one more. This is, I wouldn't have put that in otherwise. But music Wanda Shakes, animations by Mixamo, and characters and set by Cinti Studios, rendered in Blender. Let's do that. Let's put those things in. Julia was just saying that we have public transportation here in Miami, and one of the little things that we have down here is a free service that's called the trolley. It's in downtown, it's here on the beach, it's up in North Miami Beach, and it's just a little thing that gets you from one place to another. You don't have to pay, and they've already drastically reduced public transport down here and made it free so that you don't have to see a conductor or driver anymore to touch in your payment card. But Julia's just said that they are stopping the trolley tomorrow morning. So that's now hotels closed, non-essential businesses closed, crazy stuff. Restaurants no longer open. We don't have the lockdown order yet, but we are asked to remain at home unless it's absolutely necessary. I've just been given a letter from my employer today that should a policeman stop me, I can say, hey, I have to go to work. I'm entitled. I need to. I have to. I keep the country going, that sort of thing. And Joe says hi. Julia says hi as well. So those little titles here. Let's see where we can best put them in. Perhaps here. So that's actually this is the introduction. We can probably leave that, all these, and we just start doing titles here. I think that's probably a good idea. Let's go save this first of all. And that's under graphics. Let's see if I can find the one that's best suited for that. Just like bottom left there. I think this one, bold lower third. Oh, really? Wow, so it's still going during the day, but after 8 o'clock, it has curfew as well. Ooh, 1.4 trillion. Hi, caramba. And that's just for Germany, is it? Or is it Europe-wide? I'll go and name them in a minute and make sure they don't, like this, we wouldn't want that to happen. We don't want the thing to start on the wide and then encroach into the next shot. We want to make sure it's out by that point. So we'll go and move that. Just make sure it has switched by that time. Yeah, I don't mind it coming in that crash zoom there. What did we say? What do we need again? I already forgot. There's 3 that are essential. Animations by Mixamo, assets, and rendered in Blender. Perhaps Cinti can get the first credit. Well, actually, no, this is probably, let's leave them, let's say animations by Mixamo. Let's do that. And as soon as we're perhaps not here, we wait until he goes out, namely here. I think we can. Oh, we do that on here. That's a nice idea. Let's do that here. That can be the next one. And we have a bit more time here, so I suppose we can go and give Cinti a credit here. Characters and set by Cinti Studios. Oh, okay, we don't have much time. We have less time than I thought. We can go put that further in here. That we could do that. So make sure we're out by that point. All right, we need to make it shorter then. But because it's long to read, I don't want to make it too short. So maybe I will move that title elsewhere. We could potentially get away with it, or we just go over the edit. I don't really want to do that. Yeah, I suppose we could get away with it. We just do it half-half, I guess. Only because it's already a long thing to read, so perhaps I will make it a bit longer, the whole thing. And just go start a little bit before that. That actually works well. Let's do that. I don't think I want to put a title on here, but here, that's a good place to add something. Rendered in Blender. That should do the trick. And I don't think I particularly needed credit at the beginning, unless we find a suitable space here. If so, then it should be at the very beginning, like literally here. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's say a WP Guru production, because I thought that was quite funny. Actually, that was just, you know, because it's just funny. Because it's kind of a sequel. Could even just do that literally when we come out here. Yeah, I want it to be out before that thing happens. So what we could do is just move the beginning of this thing underneath the chroma key, so that we're literally out before we cut, and that we don't even need to see the beginning animation of that. It could just literally be written there when we reveal that. So I'm going to go and make this longer. We won't see it, but it'll just have animated already by the time we see it. So we'll just reveal like that, and then it'll just go. It's actually a bit too long even. I don't need to be that long. We could probably just go and shorten that. Yeah, even shorter. It's fine to not even, I don't know, I might even just leave it out completely. It's at the very end, Christina. Animated in, well, rendered with Blender. I've put. There's quite a lot going on. I thought we had longer between the on the white shots, but I guess we haven't. So very, very cool actually. I like that. Here it comes, rendered in Blender. Aha, woo! In fact, I'm going to change the beginning here, and because the fact is, it's not actually my production. I see this more as a team thing that we did together. So perhaps instead of the WP Guru production, we'll say Team Guru production. I like that much better, because all the feedback and information that we've all come up during the working of making this happen, I think that just resonates a little better with me. I like that. I like that better, and I'll leave it in for a little bit longer, because now that there's more to read, we need a tiny bit more time there. I like it. I like it. Because it was a team effort. I mean, you know, we all have chipped in so much information, you know, while this has been made. I think we should acknowledge that. It's a team effort. Music is missing. Music by Wanda Shakes. We need to see that somewhere. I wonder if that would have been the right place here. Just put that title here on that white shot. When we cut from her, we just put that here. Music by Wanda Shakes. And I won't mention the title, I'll just give them a credit. Ideally, I'd like that on the wide shot, but now that I'm thinking if I'd make that even shorter. Yeah, actually, we can get away with it. It's fine. I have read it by then. That's cool. So we'll go and make sure it has disappeared here. It was indeed, yes. You underestimate yourself, Dreamlab. You underestimate yourself. It's those vital tips at the right time where you think, this man has thought about what he's saying. So, you know. We can also give Wanda Shakes credit at the end because we have more time there. What do you think? What's your preference? Perhaps give it at the end and then leave it in a little bit longer. Then we also spread the information out. I'm almost thinking that's an even better idea, because the blender could go and just end about here. Just before we do that, we can have blender end here, and then we can have another one that is Wanda Shakes before that, and then they can have a slightly longer credit, I'm thinking. Yeah, so we could give them a credit here, I'm thinking. Let's see what we like better. It'll be one credit and then the next quite quickly after that. No, actually, forget it. No, I don't want to make it go in any further, like come in here, because I think I would like to see this pan. I think that works out well. I don't want to add a credit on top of that. This is the earliest we can do it, but if then there's the blender thing, it might just be. No, we'll leave it as it is. We'll leave it as it is. We'll leave Wanda Shakes. We'll leave Wanda Shakes here. And then the track information is going to be in the description of the video anyway, so it's that we'll do that. And this is in a bit longer because we have more to read. It makes more sense. It is, isn't it? Goody. Well, all we need is an additional 100 frames to get rid of that and make sure the make sure the credits are rendered. So let's see the 100 frames at about, it's about 2.5 minutes each. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. 100 frames at 2.5 minutes is 250 minutes. So that's still 4 hours on one computer. So sadly, we can't do that while we're watching, even though I would love that very much. Well, I tell you what, guys, let's cut it short then here. I have this other game. I don't know if you wanted to play a game. Maybe there's one that we could probably do that in about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's a puzzle game, first-person puzzle game. If you're up for that, I'm up for that. I'll just take a quick break and then I'll be right back. Give me about 5 minutes. The game I'm talking about is yes, 2.5 minutes. That's 2.5 minutes, isn't it? Metric minutes. So yes, the game I'm talking about is called Discolored, and it's on the Apple Arcade. It's also on Steam. Steam version probably looks a lot better, but I only have access to the Apple Arcade version for the final few hours. I thought I was going to be cut off already, but I still have it. So if you want to hang around, let's have a look at that. It's a really nice, chilled out, mysterious game in which we get sent to a mysterious diner that has lost all its color. Woo! Hanging with Jay indeed. Steve, do you know, I'm about to go off air, but hang around, because I'll be back in 5. And at that point, I'll see you all. Take care. Bye-bye.